results are expected shortly from Nigeria's tightest election since the end of military rule in 1999. So far, only one of the 36 state results has officially been declared, leading to growing frustrations. Electoral Commission has apologized for the unresponsiveness of the results, a viewing page on its website saying a surge in use caused technical hitches. The delays are partly a result of the election continuing for a second day in parts of the country. The election on Saturday saw voting start several hours late in many areas and also attacks on some polling stations. More than 87 million people were eligible to take part, making it the biggest democratic exercise in Africa. The election has seen an unprecedented challenge to the two-party system that has dominated Nigeria for 24 years. Kayla Maguire is with Channels TV Nigeria. She joins us on Zoom with more. Kayla, earlier you stated that it's actually unpredictable you can't be sure to predict who is winning these elections. Has anything changed? Hello, Kayla. Kindly unmute for me.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Okay, absolutely nothing has changed. It is exactly the same way. We are seeing a lot of complaints. Of course, you hit the nail on the head right there. People complain about the Electoral Commission's viewing portal and the issues with viewing the results on there. And that is still going on. We're seeing a lot of people saying, look, we need to understand what's really happening with this portal. But the Collation Center is open. We're seeing a lot of political parties raising objections as to some of the results that you're seeing, some of the issues that they noted in particular polling units. So we're seeing that happen at the National Collation Center right here in Abuja. I'm personally at the FCT INEC office. That's where the presidential election for the nation's capital is being announced. The FCT has 6 area councils. We've only got results from 5 of those area councils. We're waiting for one more so that we can be able to see exactly what has happened with the elections right here in Abuja. But absolutely nothing has changed yet. We still have people at the National Collation Center having questions about that INEC portal. And of course, INEC, having to defend themselves in this matter.
What's actually causing the delay? It's actually day 3 of the elections.
So the statement that we got from INEC was that the viewing portal had a bit of a challenge. There's a lot of use on it. But before the elections, they promised that there was going to be a backup to this particular viewing portal. And those are the questions really that we're trying to get answers from INEC on. But it's an unfortunate situation, but it's one that we're watching keenly to see exactly what happens as the days go by.
Well, there's also the bit about the third force, which is actually splitting votes and making things difficult for the traditional parties. To what extent is this, division?
It is astounding. It's astounding how this third force has been able to mop up a lot of the votes. Remember, this third force, like I've been saying, is basically supported by a lot of young people. And a lot of young Nigerians have not been used to a country that works. This man used to be in the People's Democratic Party. He moved over to the Labour Party. And of course, many young people were able to buy into what it is that he's selling. And we're seeing that. In fact, we're seeing results from Lagos, which is one of the strongholds of the All Progressives Congress, not just the opposition, but the APC candidate himself, Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And we're seeing results stating clearly that the Labour Party has taken Lagos. We're seeing all of that happening. Even in the nation's capital, we're seeing that, where a lot of the votes that are coming in from the area councils, we're seeing the Labour Party leading in a lot of these elections. So it's very, I think someone used the word for it, is humbling. It's humbling for the Nigerian politician now. You cannot go with that landslide mentality anymore. Now you have to be able to actually prove your worth in office. And then you have to be able to defend your mandate. And the Nigerian people are now going to be watching you to make sure that you do that. So that's one of the situations that we've seen with this third force. It has completely shocked everybody. And it's a beautiful thing to see, to be quite honest, because the monopoly was becoming, a situation where people thought they could act with impunity and things like that. But that monopoly has been broken officially by this third force.
Wow, quite interesting revelations there. But of course, before we went into this elections, we knew that issues like shortage of the currency, shortage of fuel, the economy, for instance, were the game changers. And we also learned that the Nigerian electorate is unpredictable. How are all of these playing in the current elections?
Well, the frustrations just before the elections may have actually added to the zest in the Nigerian voter. Because you see, I'll give you an example. On the day of the election, people stayed in some places. The election started very late, and you finished from there, went back home, you didn't have electricity, and you couldn't buy fuel to put in your generator, and then you don't have cash on you. So a lot of these things just before the election may have contributed to the frustrations that Nigerians were facing, and may have pushed them in many ways to vote what they believe would be a perfect solution to their problem. So whatever party was that the Nigerian felt would be a solution to my immediate problems would have been what informed that particular vote. We actually saw this coming the moment the cash crunch started. We knew, okay, there wouldn't be cash around. People wouldn't have money in their hands. So if they don't have money on them, they'll be pretty frustrated. What a lot of people thought was that this was going to, ensure that vote buying would be successful. But what we saw in many places was that people who actually brought cash to polling centers were chased away by the voters. So it's an awake.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Kayla McGuire is with Channels TV. It just got frozen there. We'll try and get her back. She's making some interesting revelations. Kayla, if you're back, you were making some very interesting points there.
Yes, I was saying that the frustrations that Nigerians had to face just before the election may have actually pushed them to be more vocal in their voting. So it's a reawakening of the Nigerian people, and it's beautiful to watch all these over 13 million new voters, 70% of which were young people. So it's fantastic to see all of them rise up and actually be a part of the process. We might be seeing a reawakening of the Nigerian population.
So what is this Labour Party candidate actually doing differently that is gaining the attention of many? Some say that he brings some youthful freshness to the game. Is that what is working out for him?
It is working out for him in that regard. Yes, he is fairly young. He's not a very young man, but he is younger than the other candidates. He's younger than a lot of the forebearers, the most popular of the candidates. He's actually younger than they are. But that's not just what he may be bringing to the table. I think young people in Nigeria want to see young people. We've seen old politicians in power for so long. Now, breaking that cycle may not happen with this election. We don't know where this election is going to go, really. But he basically seems like a lesser evil to a lot of young people. That's what we're noticing from the electorate. He may have, he was governor. He's an establishment, and he was governor in Anambra State for 8 years. He's a businessman. I remember when the Panama Papers came out, his name was among those who were in that particular scandal as well. So, but when you put him next to the other candidates, a lot of young people feel like they relate to him a little bit more. He's speaking their language, so to speak. Not to say that the other candidates didn't campaign and speak the language of young people. I think it just helped for a lot of these new voters that this is a man who seemed like he was around their age and was speaking something that they felt they believed in. So that has, in many ways, like I said earlier, broken the monopoly in many places that were considered strongholds to particular political parties. But we've not seen the end of it yet. Like I said, Nigeria has 36 states and 1 federal capital territory. To win the election in Nigeria, you need 25% of at least 24 states. You need to get at least 25% of 24 states for you to win the election in Nigeria. So that dynamic is what we're watching out for.
We have a very long way to go, but we are so much interested in this particular election. Is the biggest, if you ask me, in Africa. But before I let you go, let me find out the safeness or safety of people like you, because before we went into these elections, we heard of so many incidents that actually scared so many people. I mean, how safe is the environment for people like you who are monitoring events, for observers, for electorates who have to go out to vote?
Nation's capital, so it's heavily guarded, right? So it's a very secure place right now. In other parts of the country, you know, we haven't had cases of post-election violence yet. That was something that a lot of journalists were scared of, you know, how people would react to the results. Would they be able to take losing, for instance? There was a peace accord that was signed just before the election by all the political parties, all 18 contestants signed this peace accord, promising that they will be able to take the results of this election. Young people across the country watch this happen. So we've not heard of any post-election violence. What we did see was violence during the elections. So we haven't seen any of that happen afterwards. But we're watching to see how it unfolds, you know, how the candidates can conduct themselves as the results start to come out. But safety in Abuja, at least, is secure here. There's a heavy military presence all over the place. And we're watching to see how the days unfold.
Kayla, I'm grateful for the updates. She is with the Channels TV in Abuja. Definitely, this is your election headquarters. Stay here. We'll bring you all the updates from Nigeria.